Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to the Developing Dads podcast. I'm just going to crack open a Guinness. Guinness, because it is Paddy's St. Patrick's Day, and I thought I'd have a Guinness because the other week I tried I got inspired by the Six Nations advertising that Guinness have been doing on their 0% beers. And I had one. This is not a 0% because I couldn't find it, but I had one a couple of weeks ago. It was absolutely delicious. I must admit, if you like Guinness, you're inclined for a wee cheeky one, but you fancy driving or fancy doing some bits and pieces, 0% Guinness is excellent. Very, very good. So anyway, yeah, got a Guinness for St. Paddy's Day. It is the Developing Dads podcast, so it's not in no way linked to Ireland, apart from some Celt thing and the slight disdain for the English, I guess. We are going to be talking about in this episode 9 years of marriage, of which my little brother, who used to look like he was about 12, now is aging quite rapidly given his child dad status. So we're going to talk about his success of 9 years of marriage, success or failures. Who knows? We might tap into some of the failures Neil's been through, and we're going to tap into that and see what kind of comes out. Talking about marriage, talking about relationships, what it's like being a dad, and then still managing being a boyfriend at the same time, how your wife changes, you change, everything changes, and how you maintain love, really, Neil. That's pretty much what I think we should talk about, right?
All in 1 hour.
All in an hour, exactly. On the Developing Dads podcast, we also actually recently, Neil, and I sent this to you, we recently got an offer of a sponsor.
Now, I don't know how legit this is.
Success potential is only ever measured by our success. So whether or not, because there was filling in the form, Neil, it was quite funny. So they had this Google Drive form that came in. So for the listeners, I got an random email from someone. Let's call them John, and they've said, "Dear Neil and Gordon," it's like, great, got our names right. Do you advertise on your podcast? If you do, here's a form to fill in. There's some brands that we think you might be interested in. And to be fair, one of them, like, I'll take a free ice bath, right? You take a free ice bath, yeah? Anyway, you fill in the form and it goes through all the details and, blah, blah, blah. And then it gets to the section of how many monthly downloads do you get? Now, not even monthly, actually. I think it per episode downloads. It wasn't even monthly. I could have fluffed it a little bit more. But yeah, per episode, we get anywhere between about 30 and 40 downloads per episode, which is like, it's nothing. I mean, if you think about it, Stephen Bartlett's getting 1 million downloads a month. Ali Abdaal does about 120,000 a month. So each episode's going to be a lot, right? It's going to be 25,000, 30,000 for Ali, maybe 250,000 for Stephen. Yeah. So yeah, they had that in the form, was like, 25,000, for example. And I'm like, 30 or 40. Let's see how that goes. So I haven't heard back from them yet, but you never know. We might be doing this podcast at some stage from our 2 ice baths, and then reading out our sponsor script. So raise a glass to us, ladies and gentlemen. See if we can secure ourselves a good old podcast sponsor. But yeah, if anyone actually listens to the podcast and they've got a business, and they fancy getting it read out in the old mid-roll ads or whatever they call it for the podcasting thing, then be open to it. Come and talk to us. I'm sure I can share you my mortgage payment details, and I'll be happy for you to contribute towards it. So cheers to that. Or even just taking us out for dinner. Like, Neil's kids like going to McDonald's and getting ice cream. And I'm sure to spot everyone at McFlurry, I think they'd be delighted.
Yes. No, I mean, it was interesting, but I think probably they bulk send these emails out. But they did do some research. They got our names right, and it's one of the products, obviously, was quite relevant.
I also saw your big dog, Mr. Stoic, Ryan Holidays, started a new podcast. Have you seen that?
A new one?
Oh, a new one, yeah.
What's it called?
The Daily Dad.
Has been. I don't know if it's new.
Okay,
certainly,
well, it's new to me, Neil. Right, right. It's new to me. All right,
coming out with a book as well.
Oh,
May 2nd, Daily Dad.
There we go. We should get him on.
I did email him.
Did you? I think applied.
I can't remember. I emailed a couple of like high-end not celebrity, but high-end people in that kind of world, and it got 0 replies.
Excellent. Your current potential measurement of success is 0. Okay. Anyway, we on the Developing Dads podcast, we do like to start off just because it's nice. It's a nice opportunity. We always do to catch up, find out how we've been getting on, what we've been up to, and if anyone's lost a toe. But you haven't lost a toe this week, Neil?
No. Lots of
Excellent.
hours of sleep though.
That's not very much. That's not very dad, is it? It's just developing.
Yeah. How's my week been? It's just been a bit of a blur. So the boys have had coughs all week and just all night up coughing. So we took Ben to the doctor's on Wednesday, I think it was. And the doctor suspects he's got some kind of asthma-induced cold thing. So he's now on an inhaler, which seems to be helping. But yeah, it's just been rubber sleep. And then this morning I was up at 3 a.m. because my daughter, Rebecca, and the in-laws are away to Copenhagen. So boys stayed at our parents and I took them to the airport at 3 a.m. So I'm flagging.
What on earth and time? What flight time did you do?
It was the first flight of Edinburgh, 5 o'clock. It's only one going to Copenhagen.
My goodness,
Ryanair.
I just no.
But yeah, it was nice for them to get away, and Isla was absolutely buzzing.
She got her passport then. So anyone who is gripped on the edge of their seat from our last episode, Neil came through with the old passport.
Yeah, thankfully. And the news today, they're going on a 5-week strike, the passport office, or passport people.
I know.
So I'm bloody glad I'm bloody glad that I got Isla's in time. What else? Just running's going well despite sleep. I haven't spoke about running for a while in terms of my daily, but yeah, it's been going well. I'm
Happy
just feeling sorry for myself.
All right. So what you're saying is I'm going to have to carry the podcast, and you're going to be talking about your marriage.
Well, I've got 8 points for 9 years. I couldn't think of 9.
Unbelievable, Neil. And that's it. That's all you've been up to since we last spoke.
Yeah, just not sleeping that much. Working from home.
Great, because it's only been Tuesday. Like we've spoken this week already, haven't we? Yeah. So that's fair enough. What have I been doing? I had a shoot yesterday. Today's Friday, isn't it? So I had a shoot yesterday on Thursday, which was it's kind of a long day, and it was fun. It was all right. It's kind of shooting another glazing company thing. But I think I could probably be, the more you do these kind of things, the more efficient you can probably be. So realistically, next time I'll probably turn up about 2 hours later than I did. Because it was kind of I was a bit early, really, to be honest. But it's fine. It's easy money, easy job, easy thing to edit. And so I did that on Thursday. And then I was just, to be honest, the other part of the week, I was just trying to get over viral conjunctivitis.
Yes. How is that? At the end?
Yeah, even on Monday, so we recorded a podcast on Monday because we were late uploading one, blah blah blah. It still hung around, like it's still there. Like my eyeballs are still a little bit funky. They're not perfect. They're not like perfectly white, but they're still a little bit kind of bloodshot. And I've still got a bit of a cold, but I am getting better. But I was still hanging on Monday, still hanging on Tuesday, and then I started to actually feel pretty normal on Wednesday, which is better, I guess.
It's like 6 days of being floored.
Savage. Properly savage. So if anyone gets it, then I feel for you. And I hope you don't, to be honest. Also organising, I'm off to Sweden next week. Did I tell you this?
You did, with it. Maybe not on the pod.
All right, yeah. So I'm off to Sweden next week, so my second country this month. And I'll be taking 2 flights, 1 internal. So I'm going to go... Here's the thing, Neil. Right, it's been booked in since January, and we're only just talking about a brief to get it up and running, and then to book like flights or just get flights sorted and things. Because you know what Ryanair is, Neil. Ryanair are just penny pinching bunch of doohickeys.
That's who Rebecca's flying with.
So I've got something called a Peli case, right? A Peli Air case. It's a hard case that I can put all my camera kit in. And it's safe, and I can wheelie it along, and it's designed specifically to fit in the overhead bins. Okay? Every airline, apart from Ryanair.
Mad.
So I've had to come up with some sort of idea to pack a bag full of stuff, and then they've had to pay for an extra 20-kilogram bag so I
Wow.
can carry clothes with me. So that's been a bit of a pain. The other ones are that I have to go to Stansted Airport, and I'm in the south of the river, and it's like 140 quid Uber to get to Stansted Airport on time. And the flight's like £100.
What's the internal flight you're going to?
So we're also going to a place apparently called Kiruna in the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
And I have clothes that are equivalent to that someone would wear on a cold English evening. Not a cold Arctic evening. So I'm going to the in-laws tomorrow to see if they've got any ski outfits for me to try on.
Brilliant. You can, like, I'm sure down there you can, but up here it's very easy to rent good equipment, and it's very, very reasonable priced.
I'm not going skiing now.
No, but if you wanted a warm jacket, you could probably rent it for.
Probably. I'd hope, or at least borrow it, or I could just hunt a moose or something and then just skin it and then
What's
cover
out
myself
there?
with it.
What are you doing in the Arctic Circle?
So we're going to Stockholm first. That's to visit. You ever heard of a company called Epidemic Sound? So they have they basically make stock copyright free, paid copyright free music for YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff. So they've invited Ali out to do a sponsored trip, I guess, and I'm tagging along as his best mate with a camera. So going along to do that, and then the second flight is to go and stay at a place called the Ice Hotel.
Wow.
So we're staying at the Ice Hotel for a couple of nights, which, let's be honest, it's all pretty cool. It's quite fun. And we're doing a wilderness eating experience. It's like a set menu with wine and everything.
Wow. So is this because like they want to get some advertisement out of Ali?
Yeah, exactly. So I got to come along for the ride, take some pictures and film some videos.
Nice.
Which is quite fun. So that's going to be next week, Monday to Thursday. And then I've got one night, and then I'm off to the PT project to go and do a day filming in Birmingham. So my brain's going to be a little bit screwed. And then probably like three or 4 weeks after that, I'll be off to World's Strongest Man again. Because we had a conversation today with you and the business manager, just chatting about like how things could work, what kind of role do I fill, what kind of stuff do I do. So it's to see. I've just got to send them basically like a hardline proposal on everything, but it's pretty much we're good to go. Get the ship sailing and see what we can come up with. And the next video should come out this Sunday, I think. One that I filmed last week in London, just before I got the old viral conjunctivitis.
Nice.
And to be honest, that's kind of it, really. Bought a new camera bag, which has arrived. It's downstairs. Just need to open it and get it going because I split the seams of the other one. And all's going quite well, to be honest. Like I had some really good, nice inquiries about stuff, and it's also like my business is kind of like building, and had a good chat with my accountant, and things are going to project to go pretty well this year. Like the first quarter has already been one of my biggest I've ever had, so that's quite nice, to be honest.
Nice.
That's
mortgage rates have come down. If you're an avid listener for
the
pod, I was bricking myself at the end of last year because like mortgage rates were up at 6-7% and projected to climb. But now our mutual friend, or your friend that I've kind of tagged on the back of him, he managed to get me a 3.9%.
Wow.
So I'm absolutely over the moon. Is that not the same for you?
No, 4.4.
That's not bad.
I don't know why you're getting a cheaper rate than me. My house has got far more equity in it than you.
Yeah, I don't know. Mine's over 5 years though. I don't know.
Your mortgage is over 5 years. Oh, it's a 5-year fixed deal.
Yeah, 5-year fixed.
Okay, right. So I'm only doing a 2-year fixed deal. Just because what I'm trying to do is actually align all my properties together.
The same date, yeah.
But I can't really. So we'll try and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess. But then I guess the thing is, like, my other one is a buy to let, so it doesn't really matter. It's kind of, it's not about my earnings, it's more about the earnings of the house and whether there's a big enough deposit and stuff in it. So, but anyway, we're here to talk about your marriage, Neil, and how you've managed to continue to be married for 9 years somehow. Who knows?
And still smiling.
So, give me a one-liner on what the secret is to marriage.
Oh, a one-liner. I haven't prepared that. Let me look at my notes.
No, just a feeling, like, if you just off the top of your head, what do you think is making a significant?
Not a one-liner, but one word is communication.
Ooh,
I think that's a pivotal part. But
communicate about what? Because you can communicate about what you fancy for dinner.
Everything, yeah.
Versus your food fetish.
That works, as well as your feelings, as well as what you think you should be spending on people's birthdays, as well as where you think you should be going on holiday. Just communicate, over communicate.
And do you think communicating at the early stages of your relationship is also a very important factor to it? Because, and I give an example of this of children, right? So sometimes you get halfway through a relationship and then someone goes, "Oh, I don't fancy kids," and another person fancies kids. It's not really a very good alignment, right?
Yeah.
Or my dad's a raging Nazi. Oh, my mum's a Jew. Well, that's not going to work then, is it?
So it's actually one of my points.
Excellent. We're straight onto the list, Neil. Right? We're going.
Well, how I thought we'd do the podcast is I've got a bit like a scene setting. So for people that don't know me and just random, I was going to set the scene about kind of when we met and how long we've been together, when we got married, etc. And then broken down kind of my tips for a good marriage. I've got 9 or 8 tips.
All right. So is this nothing about my marriage, or is it just yours?
Just mine.
Okay. Excellent. Carry on.
But like the reason I didn't want to do this solo, because you suggested this one that I could do solo, but I think it would be good to converse backwards and forwards.
Thanks, Neil. I appreciate the fact that we're co-hosts on this podcast.
Anyway, so Rebecca and I met in 2010. So that was 13 years ago. And moved in together after a year of dating, went on various holidays together. So essentially, what are you going to say, Gordon?
I'm just interested about the cat story.
Cat story? I have no idea what you're speaking about.
When you came downstairs and there was stuff on the countertop, and you thought, who the hell lives in a place like this?
That's not for the pod. I forgot I told you that.
Excellent. Okay.
So I guess like there's a strong foundation there. We'd been on lots of holidays together. We kind of like thinking back. I mean, we haven't been on lavish holidays since we had kids, but like we went to Caribbean, Mexico, Orlando, various places in Europe. So yeah, I guess the main takeaway from that is we spent lots of time together. So like 24/7 sometimes in each other's company. We were sharing bills. We were kind of sharing rent and stuff, and had our finances together. And then after 4 years, I decided to put a ring on it. And I don't know, did we cover that in a podcast? Maybe we could do our proposals, both of our proposals in an episode. And then a year after that, we had our first child. So I guess 5 years together, had a child, 4 years together, we got married. So although like it feels, when I think about like 9 years of marriage, did I rush into it? Did I like after a year?
straight in? Did he rush into it?
Yeah, but looking back and like kind of reflecting, I don't think I did, or I don't feel I did. Because I still see myself as very young, but saying I've been married 9 years, it's pretty scary. But I'm here now. I'm thriving.
God forbid anything you combust because you've been married for 10 years at the age of 33.
What's the average divorce rate?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
Sure.
So
I'm sure she probably would have divorced you about 4 times in the space of 9 years anyway, Neil, so I wouldn't be worried about that.
My kind of first like point we can chat through is like getting the foundation sorted. So I think, or from my previous experience of knowing people that have been married and divorced very quickly, obviously I can't see behind closed doors, but my perspective is they may not have the foundation sorted. So things like maybe testing out living together, maybe going on a trip together over a few weeks and finding out how it is to be 24/7 together, sharing bills and that kind of thing, I think is important when you think about marriage and to set yourself up well for marriage. And we did a pre-marriage course, which I've mentioned a few times in the podcast, which was like a 6-week, 8-week course before we got married, which discussed everything from like love languages to our what's our kind of budget ideas for birthdays and how we're going to manage our finances. We're going to have joint accounts and like going into a lot of detail that you might not think about going to marriage. So yeah, I feel we had the foundations really strong to go into it. I don't know if that resonates or if that.
I don't know how many girlfriends you had prior to essentially getting married or knowing it was going to be with Rebecca.
Yeah, not many. I could probably count 2, 3. But then long term, I'd say probably one long term, and then 2 or 3 short.
All right, because I think it's what you're describing is when you live together before you get married, like all these blasphemous things that you do when you're not religious. When you share finances, when you share lives together, when you share friends, when you share commonalities of everything that makes a partnership, I think it just gives you an ability to practice. Because everything else you can practice, right? You go out and play football, and you can practice that and get a little bit better.
Yeah.
You can cook in the kitchen and bake things and get a little bit better at doing all that kind of thing. You can drive a car and get better at driving a car. And there's so much stuff that you would practice, right? So to some extent, like, why wouldn't you begin to share parts of your life with each other that are outside of just kissing?
Yeah.
Like living together and, being together and spending money together and managing finances together and managing a home together, like all that kind of stuff.
Holidays.
Before you get married, to be perfectly honest, like before you get married, because it is easy to get divorced, but it's not. Like, it's complicated. And it's even more complicated when you have kids. And it's even more complicated when you have assets. It's even more complicated when you have pensions and all that kind of stuff. Right? So, I guess, the reason I asked that is just kind of, how many girlfriends you have. But it's kind of helpful because you've already, like, screwed up a little bit over here a few times. And then you probably learn, maybe I should put the toilet seat down.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't lived with any of my girlfriends. Rebecca was the first one.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we moved in quite, I think it was, I maybe said year, but I think it was maybe 9 months. But certainly I was staying at her, she had a flat herself. I stayed at her flat quite a lot. But the next one is be prepared for change. So,
all right. So we're just talking about your relationship. Is that all we're doing for the entire podcast?
It's wisdom. It's
wisdom. All right, okay. From Neil, and I'm just I'm a sideline commentator.
I asked for your input in the first point.
Oh, great, excellent. Carry on. How can we make a podcast where we include the co-host? I don't know. I'm just going to talk about my marriage and the things that I want to bestow onto the world.
This is what happens when we don't plan podcasts.
You don't need to plan it, Neil. You just need to be like, so Neil, Gordon, how did you meet Laura?
But yeah, like I thought the point of this was I'm married for 9 years. It was my ninth year anniversary. So let's do some advice from someone who's been married 9 years.
But you can be like, Gordon, you've been married what? How many marriages have you been married? 4. How have you got on?
Well, that could maybe be an episode.
Because is there a difference between like 4 years of marriage and 9 years of marriage?
I think so.
What?
But I think that something like the divorce rate is, I want to say in the first 5 years, there's more chance of getting divorced. But then when you make it to year 6, that declines rapidly.
All right. So what you're saying is I could get divorced this year. Thanks, Neil. So that
how many Guinnesses have you had?
This is my second one. This is what I'm saying. Is you're saying that just because I've only been married for 4 years, I have no opinion until I get to year 6, and then we can do a podcast about it. Neil's choking on his apple juice. Say, by the way, your opinion is not valid until you've had a kid. Oh, really? Okay.
Oh dear. I went down the wrong way. It's fizzy apple juice. Anyway. So how are we doing this then?
I don't know. Just maybe turn it into a conversation. So your little listicle, your little bullshit listicle on your crappy little Amazon Scribe, you can maybe turn that into, Gordon, my point number 2 is this. What do you think about it?
But I did do that one. I was like, I asked for your opinion.
No, you didn't. You just decided to crack on and tell me about your relationship history with Rebecca and how you moved in together. That was the last bit I heard.
No. Anyway. I think you need to stop drinking alcohol. Point 2, be prepared for change.
Excellent. Tell us all about that, Neil.
We're not going to do this if you're going to keep being like this. You're in a weird mood.
Point number 2, Neil. Come on.
Anyway, people change, as you know, and you're not going to be the same person you are when you met 9, 10, 15 years ago. So I was very different. I met Rebecca when I was 19 years old. Now I'm 32. So, yeah, I guess just be prepared to realise that...
So how have you changed then, Neil? Come on. You can't just say you'll change. But tell me, from a 19-year-old, how are you different from a 19-year-old Neil to a 32-year-old Neil?
I think there's both. There's the kind of career stuff, but there's also the changes in your body. There's the kind of mentality of things, and I don't know. Like there's so much more to. You kind of lived a lot longer, so there's so much more to argue about and converse over than when you're like maybe 19 years old, where all you want to do is go out, get drunk, live for the weekend. Yeah, I don't know.
What does that mean? What's the difference between being a 32-year-old man who goes out and drinks and lives for the weekend, but you just have responsibilities?
But I don't do that now, so that's a big change. And I think, yeah, just be prepared for change. And you must admit that you and Laura have changed as years have gone on. You're not the same people you were 5 years ago.
I don't think I'm that different. But the thing is, you're describing a 19-year-old versus a 32-year-old. Like there is a grand span of difference between those two eras.
Yeah. So when did you and Laura meet?
So we met when I was, so it'll be 8 years next week. So we met when I was 27.
And Laura would have been similar to me.
Yeah, 23-ish. 24. 23, yeah, definitely 23.
Yeah, so I think maturity levels and everything changes.
I kind of think so. Maybe, but I don't think there's a vast difference between a 27-year-old and a 35-year-old as there is a 19-year-old and a 32-year-old.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like I think there's a monumental difference between the two. And certainly from when I was married, like I was married when I was 30, 31, 30 I think I was turning 31. So from that perspective, again, like 30 to 35, I guess there's a bit of a difference, but it's minimal, really. So I think I agree on the change aspect of things, but I think it depends when you get married.
Yeah, so I guess that's coming from it from my point of view, where I was young in terms of when I met Rebecca, and now after 9 years. But I think
why change though? Like why when you just talk about being young, but then what?
Well,
like, why
your maturity levels are going to go up. You've got more commitments. You've got of course you're going to change.
Some people don't, Neil.
That's their problem. And maybe they haven't had successful marriages.
No, they're definitely getting divorced.
Yeah, or working in Tesco. Nothing wrong with working in Tesco.
But you could be the general manager of a Tesco store. They get paid pretty well.
True. True.
Point number 3, Neil.
I think I've actually had this one. I can't remember what episode we talked about this, but it's come up a lot. And I think, so I guess all these points I've got is like, what do I think makes a successful marriage? And one of them is investing in yourself when it comes to health and fitness and being a bit selfish when it comes to that. So,
All right.
What do you think of that, Gordon, before I say any more?
I definitely agree. And I think I've had an argument with Laura about it. In the, I think we had an argument because I wanted to go to the gym, and there's something like, I don't know. There was some reason, I can't remember the exact reason why, but we had a bit of an argument about it. And I think the conclusion that we came to was essentially, under no uncertain circumstances, if we are going to pursue some level of health or fitness, so we've got an hour to go to the gym, or, whatever else, or someone needs to get up early to go after Olivia, so someone go to the gym, or anything as a health pursuit base, one of us should compromise. That's it. And the compromise is generally going to be childcare, right? It's going to be looking after someone or doing something or whatever else. But absolutely, if someone says, I'd like to go to the gym, I have a spare hour, the other person takes on the chin and looks after the kid. Makes it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I've had that chat.
In my mind, that's absolutely fine. So if ever Laura wants to go to the gym or, do anything like that, unless it's trumped by work situations, that's potentially the only time that it could be, then absolutely, I'll watch Olivia. I'll look after her. No uncertain circumstances. Because I think it's just, there are unknown and unfathomable benefits of exercise and known benefits of exercise. So I'm like, nah, go and do it. I'll look after
it. Yeah, and it's not just benefits from a personal point of view. It's benefits that are external as well.
Yeah, everything. So, everything. Everything about exercise is good. Do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it really. Yeah, so what you're saying is point number 4, Neil, is have the ability. Oh, point number 3. Compromise for exercise.
Yeah, done. Number 4 is arranging time away from each other. So I feel distance makes the heart grow fonder. So when I, going back to pre-marriage, I used to travel for work a lot to Amsterdam. I used to go every 2 weeks. I used to go for 2 weeks.
There's certain sort of coloured districts out there as well, Neil, that...
there is.
Amsterdam, and you could also go and eat some cake.
And I always found when I came back from those trips,
I'm not biting. I'm not biting. Different dogs all over you.
Yeah, I don't know. We used to. Yeah, I reckon, or I felt that missing somebody does make the heart grow fonder, and does it make the relationship stronger? I don't know necessarily if it does, but having that kind of feeling of missing somebody and the feeling of wanting them back, I think is quite nice. So yeah, arranging time away both together is obviously important, but away from each other in your own different social groups, do your own little things, and then you come back and you've got stories to tell, you've got things to share. I think that's positive, and it keeps a healthy relationship.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't really have any qualms about that, really.
Do you find when you go away from Laura, you can't wait to get back?
Yeah, generally speaking. So sometimes though I'm in kind of a mix of minds where if I'm really busy and I've got work, because it's I can't imagine a time in which I'm just going away because I fancy a solo jolly off to Bali.
Dubai. Someone's 30th birthday.
But that's not a solo jolly though, is it?
Yeah, true.
So I doubt that's ever going to happen. So unless it's like a stag do or some mate's little holiday that I've had previously, then it's unlikely I'll go away on my own. So part of me is kind of part of me, I do yearn it, and I do miss family life, and I miss Laura. But at the same time, I also just quite like my own time.
You talk about in one of the goals for this year is to go away in a cabin in the woods somewhere.
It's my own.
Yeah.
Nobody there. Maybe. So, yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's
I find with kids, if I go away and when I come back, they're like so much more into me and so much like they just want cuddles. They want me to play with them. And it's obviously because they've missed me and they want me to be around more and stuff. But yeah, I think the heart grows fonder.
No, I don't disagree. I think I think it's the idea of a relationship shouldn't be the thing that makes you happy. You should be bringing your happiness to the relationship.
Yeah.
And when you bring the happiness to the relationship, part of happiness is sometimes experiences. It's seeing things and doing stuff that you can, like you say, tell stories about, or it's hanging out with other people that are not your relationship that make you happy. So when you come and see your partner, your relationship, your kids, and whatever else, you're bringing that level of like euphoria and enjoyment and happiness to like bringing it to the relationship because it fills your bucket, right? It fills your energy bucket. So I guess that's the important part. It's not even the sense of like going away and missing someone. It's actually having activities that aren't dominated by the relationship. They're activities that are your own. You possess them. They're your skills, your stuff that you do, the friends that you have.
Yep. All good stuff. Number 5.
Oh, I'm so glad.
It's definitely more than 2 beers you've had, Gordon.
I literally had 2 beers. That's all, Neil. I'm just blown away by your enthusiasm for my chat.
This is when you brought up at the start of the podcast.
Oh God!
About making a plan.
I was a different man then.
On life together. So like discussing, do you want to have kids? What's your kind of 1, 2, 5-year plans? Travel, career. Like where do you see yourself? I think that's a massive thing. And I feel we didn't necessarily, Rebecca and I, sit down and discuss all those points over a dinner and an evening, but we definitely knew we wanted kids. We definitely knew we like I was very career driven. Rebecca didn't really know what she wanted to do. And we also had that chat of her like, staying at home for the kids and not working. So yeah, we had those chats early on in our marriage, instead of leaving it last minute and like.
That's quite interesting that you had those conversations whilst you were married.
So kids know. Kids we definitely knew.
But then the details of being married. Did you ever discuss those?
What do you mean the details of being married?
So as an example, when I was talking to Laura, I think I was not unreasonably, but you know, you kind of I think when I was discussing these, it was more of a chat about how I think marriage goes. So, for example, I kind of expressed the idea and the opinion that if Laura wanted to go to work, that was absolutely fine. She didn't have to be a stay-at-home mum. She didn't have to just stay at home and look after the baby. She didn't have to be a housewife. That was her choice. That would, like, if she wanted to go to work, fantastic. If she wanted to go and stay at home, okay, we'll try and make it work. But equally, from my perspective, I felt as though I didn't want her to focus on anything in particular. My preference would be that she has a career and has something outside of just being a mum and just being a wife, that she has something that she can build and really own of her own and help contribute towards the household. So we did talk about that before we even got married, like before we went through that, because I had some thoughts and feelings about it. So
yeah, but if Rebecca said she wanted to have a career instead of being a stay-at-home mum, that wouldn't call off the marriage. So like, that kind of conversation's absolutely fine to have after getting married.
Sure, but then what if you had a conversation where like, I want to have kids? Everyone's like, yeah, I want to have kids. But what if someone wants to have kids straight after getting married versus someone who wants to have them 5 years down the line?
Yeah, so we did the whole kid chat before marriage.
All right.
That's important. But I think in terms of like career and do you want to be a stay-at-home mum? Do you want to kind of focus on your career? Like, that's not going to define if I want to marry them or not.
Okay.
Done.
You got nothing to expand on your discussing about pre-marriage, post-marriage?
Don't Don't think so. I think the key thing is kids, because that's a major thing, and like maybe places of like if somebody wants to move to Australia, obviously that's going to have to come out before you get married, because that'd be a bit awkward if you got married and you want to live in two different places in the world. Logistically,
why is that different to discussing a career choice then?
Because for me personally, I would support Rebecca in whatever she wants to do. If she wanted to focus on her career.
So if she wanted to move to Australia?
We're talking about career.
Aye, but what I'm saying is that you're saying that if someone wanted to move to Australia, they should know that before they get married. Which is kind of like it's a big choice, right?
Right.
So if, for example, you didn't have a well-paying job and Rebecca needed to go to work, but she didn't want to go to work because you'd already discussed that, how would that work?
She would be working if I didn't have a well-paid job.
Okay.
But it's different to Australia.
It's pretty dramatic, though, because one person's doing something that they don't want to do.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say she doesn't want to do it. It's quite a strong word.
Okay. But do you want to move to Australia?
No.
Okay,
I wouldn't marry somebody that does.
All right. That's a shame. Australia's quite nice.
Don't like kangaroos, Gordon.
You got a fear of kangaroos?
Not a fear. I just don't like them.
Oh, why not?
She's got weird pockets in front of them.
Have you had like a nightmare about getting caught up in a kangaroo's pocket?
I have not. Next one is trying to have different social circles. So I think it's an important thing to be able to communicate and moan and bitch sometimes, or build up and talk well about your other half to different, like just different friends. If you're all in the same social circle, all in the same group, then I think that would be a bit awkward. So for me, and it's kept Rebecca and I, we've always had separate friends and separate friends groups, and it means we don't kind of clash. And
have you had any friends? Have any of Rebecca's friends don't like you?
Not that I've told them to my face.
All right. So you just know in secret.
Rebecca's never told me, but there's been a few of Rebecca's friends that I've verbally not liked.
You've verbally not liked?
To Rebecca, I've never actually verbalized it to the friend.
Oh, that's a shame.
But yeah, that's a hard one.
What didn't you like about them?
I'm not going to go into details because
okay.
But it's a hard one to navigate. If
are their characteristics very standout? Is that why?
There's probably no chance of listening to the podcast, but there might be a chance. So I'm not going to put my foot in it.
Right.
Anyway,
what kind of people do you not like, Neil?
It does make it a bit awkward. But touch wood, every friend I've met with Rebecca, even in the early days of dating and being married, I got on with them, and there's no kind of. I don't think Rebecca was never kind of told never to marry me, or that would have been awkward, wouldn't it?
I mean, yeah, but you're 9 years married, so you're past that 6-year point, so you're definitely not getting divorced.
Anyway, how's Laura's friends? You enjoy them?
That was an interesting experience, I'm not going to lie. Now, the reason I say that is because I am a tutor for Aberdeenshire, right? And we live in a little farm, middle of nowhere. And a lot of Laura's friends have come from a place of like, basically just a really nice boarding school. The English countryside. So they're from different backgrounds, totally different backgrounds. So I always find it kind of, I'm the Neanderthal that's kind of interacting with high society. Like a chimpanzee just kind of walking around, pulling ticks on people's faces, trying to communicate with these quite posh people. So I guess I kind of, the hard part that I found is I just didn't really feel like I fit in. Not that I fit in generally, but in particular, it was kind of trying to, work out who they were, where they come from, what they do. So I was kind of balancing that act a little bit, which is quite challenging, I think. And I think Laura found it a little bit difficult as well. But then after a little while, we kind of, we just kind of, you get to know these people better on a better level. And a number of them become very good friends. And the quirks of me being from a farm in the middle of nowhere in Scotland is equally their quirks from the fact that they've grown up and their grandfather helped partition India post-war. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. So, yeah, generally speaking, I think I was all right. I don't think anyone said any bad things about me. And I think they generally have a reasonable opinion of me, I think. Yeah, because I think they perhaps see the entrepreneurial side of me and the business and drive and, push for success and progress and all that kind of crap. So hopefully that kind of holds up
all good stuff.
Any kind of poor underpinnings of a terrible personality. So we'll see.
Yeah, like I remember meeting Rebecca's family for the first time and her brothers and stuff. That was quite hard. That was quite nerve-wracking. Just like getting that acceptance from the mum and dad and the brothers. But yeah, I got on really well with them and was fine.
Laura's mum and dad one was quite funny. That's a good story for the pod, I guess. I was at a stage where I already knew I wanted to marry Laura. Like I was like, yeah, I'm going to marry her. So
how far into the relationship was that?
Like second date.
Wow.
Yeah, I was good, Neil. But anyway, so I think I met them maybe 3 or 4 or 5 months into our relationship, and Dave and Denise are not, in the nicest possible way. They're not fancy people. They don't give a crap about fancy restaurants or whatever else. And in fact, they quite like a cup of tea on the sofa. So I could have easily just met them around their house, had a cup of tea and a wee chat and a biscuit, and it would have been fine. But I decided to book the Kensington Roof Gardens for lunch because I thought it'd be a nice place to go. And it was a really nice place to go. We got dressed up, got a shirt on, kind of looked nice and prepared, and I was there first. And I was just really nervous because, a relationship is not just about love between two people. It's about families coming together
and being accepted. Yeah.
And not so much the accepted thing. I don't think that was something that was worried me. It was just that I just wanted to like me. Because as dads, we're dads of daughters, and maybe our daughters will go off and want to marry someone or be with someone. All you want them to meet someone is that someone makes them happy. That's it. They're a bit sensible. They're not like some idiot who just spends money on everything. They're willing to sacrifice stuff for their family. They're willing to compromise. They're willing to be nice. All that stuff. That's all you want. So I was just desperate to make sure that they saw that person, and Kensington Roof Gardens was the place I was going to meet them.
Wow.
And there was one thing that I think ticked the box. Was first of all, they were really lovely, which was great. And that was, a big tick in the box in terms of wanting to get married. But afterwards, Laura said that David, Laura's dad, said when I went to the bathroom, because I took a break, he said to Laura, he's really got his head switched on. And I was like, that's it. I've got the seal of approval. Like Dad said, I've got my head screwed on, then that's fine. He knows that I'm a secure package. I work hard. I have moderate intelligence, and I'm good. So yeah, that was a good moment, I guess.
Yeah, that's quite nice. I can't remember the first thing William said about me. 19 years old.
Oh, he's a bit young. Doesn't he look a little bit?
Yeah, probably was that because she's older than me. So
older than me, Neil.
By a month.
Still older.
Second last one. Keep things exciting / different. So it's easy, especially after 9 years, even 4 or 5 years for you guys probably, is to just get stuck in the same mundane things of doing stuff over and over again. Maybe going out for a date night every so often, but it's pretty much similar. You go out for a meal and drinks. But when I say mix it up and do things exciting, something like for Rebecca's birthday last year, I think it was, we did a thing called canyoning. And it's like jumping off kind of cliffs. You
probably want to explain that before, if anyone doesn't know what canyoning is between two couples.
So you get taken out into the wilderness of Scotland and basically jump off waterfalls and cliffs and into water.
With your clothes on.
Yes, wetsuits. Yep. Don't wear clothes.
Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah. And yeah, that was just something totally different. Keeping it exciting and just like going out of your comfort zone together and like experiencing different stuff, instead of just every birthday or every date night you go out for a meal, you come home, look after your kid, go to work. Just boring. So yeah, keep it lively.
From what I understand, that's actually how relationships are formed and solidified, is when you both truly experience something new for the first time.
Wow.
Together. That's
Nice.
apparently the one of the recipes of building a true relationship, or a loving relationship, is to go through kind of all sorts of stuff, like euphoric emotions to sad emotions to surprise emotions to whatever else. But generally speaking, the easiest way to do it is go through new experiences together. So going to a new restaurant together, or going canyoning together, or whatever other kind of thing that you can think of. If you've never done it before, and if you do it together, it tends to solidify the relationship from a psychological perspective even more.
Yeah. Nice. So would you say, do you guys kind of get stuck in ruts sometimes? We're definitely bad for that.
100%, because it's more because I think we're still at the stage of the demanding nature of Olivia. And we probably will be for the next like 3 or 4 years, at least 5 years, maybe, if we have another one at some point. Then we're always going to be in that kind of period of the kids between sort of ages of 0 and 5 ultimately depend on you so much. They depend on your attention, they depend on your stuff, they depend on your things. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like you just have to be able to manage that. And at the moment, yeah, we're probably low on the experience front together, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Neil's, where's Neil going?
I'm climbing upstairs to plug my laptop in because it's about to die.
Oh, excellent. I'm very glad that you're very well prepared. Neil's literally carrying himself up the stairs as we speak with his microphone in his hand. But yeah, I definitely say that that's a thing, Neil, is having new experiences together and how much that bonds. Because it's, even if you think about having a baby together, if you've never had a baby with someone before and it's your baby, the experience of the child, the birth thing is just, I don't know if you felt closer to Rebecca after childbirth, but I certainly bloody did with Laura.
Oh yeah, massively.
Not Rebecca, obviously, because I wasn't there.
Yeah, and I think that's probably it's something I've not really thought about in terms of having new experiences and how that helps solidify things. But yeah, and worst of it is, Gordon, I can't remember my 8th point. It's downstairs.
Oh right, excellent.
So you're gonna have
we
to
can
keep
call
chatting.
it there. I mean, to be fair, it's like we've done 50 minutes.
52 minutes. So what's
great
one
chat.
word? So my first word was communication. What would be one word to have a wholesome, nice marriage?
Nice, wholesome, happy marriage. A word. You just want a word. Bloody hell.
A sentence.
It's got to be trust. For me, for me, it was like, if I'm going to get married, I'm all in. Like, that's it. And, when I say all in, Laura literally knows the password to my phone. Like, she can get in and out of my phone however much she wants. Get in my laptop as much as she wants. We've got a joint bank account where all the money goes into. Like, at the end of the day, she could easily ruin my career, ruin my personal life, and steal and take all the money out of her bank account. Do that if she wants.
Yeah, yeah. I've never got like some of my peers and work colleagues have got like separate bank accounts with their wives and stuff. Like they don't really do joint accounts, so I don't get that.
I can't. It's up to them. Like, people do how they do it. But for me, when it comes to marriage, I'm all in. And there's a very good podcast called the Knowledge Podcast, where there's a chap called Jim Collins goes on it, and he talks about a thing called relationships. He wrote a book called Outliers, I think it was. But basically, his premise is that he treats people as if they're good until they're given a reason not to. So you'll trust people without actually knowing them. And he says that the outcome, generally speaking, is one in which you have much more meaningful relationships and you meet people and have much better conversations than if you were to meet them with some level of skepticism.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I can see that, because even from the outset, I've always taken my relationship approach with Laura as one in which I have a whole and utter trust in whatever she wants to do. Like she can control my entire life, and I would trust her with it. Not an issue. So I definitely say that trust is probably one of my biggest parts of, because you can. I think relationships go in periods of like happiness, sadness at times. They go through feeling unbelievably in love to less in love, to being more friends, less friends, just like any kind of like long-term spanning thing. There's general ups and downs. But I'm not sure you can have ups and downs in trust. I think that's the bedrock and foundation of a good relationship. Is just utterly trusting someone with everything you have.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Well, that will end it there. The Developing Dads podcast episode number 66, which is pretty cool. We're gonna get to this 100, I think, Neil. Imagine we do 100 podcast episodes.
We need to figure out when the Sky podcast is in that distillery, or some kind of feature in Sky, because that'd be cool to be the 100th one.
It's not going to be 100 by then, surely.
No. But, yeah,
we should
film a special.
Yeah,
or a trip.
Trip away or something. I think it'd be fun. Hire like a crew, like Chris Williams does, and get a cinematic Developing Dads version
His
done.
David Goggins one was mad. He had like
good, isn't it?
Smoke machines. And
Great. Get me a smoke machine, Neil. Get a helicopter. Let's do it in a helicopter. Okay, so we have episode number 66 of the Developing Dads podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. For anyone who's out there who's married, if you have any thoughts, feelings, and concerns, then do pass it our way. We don't check our Instagram page or post on it, but if you comment on the most recent post, we'd love to hear from you. At some point, someone called Neil Greenhorn might actually do something about it. He might actually do something about it when we get our sponsored of our ice bath, and we're both sat there and Neil starts updating the reels and things. Either way, yes, we are on things like Instagram. We also upload these. I think I've uploaded them. I probably haven't previously.
YouTube's been missing for 5 or 6
a few episodes, right? So I'll try and change that, and we'll get some more episodes up there. But if you want to watch our pretty faces chatting, and you want to see my eyeballs and how bloodshot they were, then by all means check out the last episode. But as we do really appreciate the 3.5 listeners to get to the end of these podcasts. They are just a piece of fun, and we enjoy them. And I've enjoyed this episode overall, even though Neil has been up since 3 o'clock in the morning and I've had 2 Guinnesses. It's a good day. But I hope you have a lovely week, a lovely weekend, whatever you're up to, whatever you're doing. And we shall check you and speak to you, and you hear us and see us in the next episode. Cheers.
Goodbye.